Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have two PlayStation rumors to go over and cover. The first talks about a God of War Ragnarok state of play, and the second is a follow-up to earlier rumors we heard in the year of Sony making a big acquisition. We now have the name of a publisher, or the publisher, that Sony was apparently in talks to acquire. Now obviously everything we go over here is going to have to be taken with a grain of salt. I do want to stress that at the beginning here. Everybody should keep their expectations in check, but nonetheless, I want to keep you guys updated with what's going on and what's being said. So before we dive into it, do me a big favor. If you do enjoy the video or find it informative, be sure to hit the like button. It really does help the videos more than you know. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well. And I want you to answer the question down below. Do you think Sony should try to acquire Square Enix? Do you think that Square Enix, or what's remaining of Square Enix, would fit in nicely with PlayStation Studios? Let me know why or why not down in the comments below. Starting here though, talking about God of War, we have an interesting rumor that claims it's too soon for a God of War state of play. So this is something I wanted to cover because we haven't really gotten any significant updates on God of War Ragnarok, and it's currently still set to launch in 2022. The last official update we got for God of War Ragnarok came from Cory Barlog, where he was celebrating the 4-year anniversary of God of War 2018, and he let us know that they're all working very hard on the game right now, and unfortunately they don't have anything ready to show, and they're not trying to purposely hold anything back. He reassured fans that as soon as they have something ready to show, they're going to show it, and he said something cool is coming soon. So with that being said, fans are now feeling somewhat hopeful that maybe this month, May, we will get a state of play dedicated to God of War. I think a big reason for this is because this is what Sony did last year for Horizon Forbidden West, their PlayStation exclusive, that the biggest one you could argue, that was set to launch in 2021. And so in May, that's when they gave it a state of play, even though it likely wasn't coming out until closer to the end of the year. Is that something we can expect for God of War Ragnarok? Well, according to a verified Reset Era insider, no, apparently it's too soon. Reading from DualShockers, it says God of War Ragnarok state of play is not happening in May or anytime soon. This is what's being reported. According to reliable industry insider and Reset Era user Ashong, who has a pretty good track record, we will not be seeing God of War Ragnarok news anytime soon. Replying to a Reset Era thread that speculates a God of War Ragnarok focused state of play is going to be happening at the end of May, the user states that it's too soon as per what they checked last. So I wanted to tell you guys about this because I do think that quite a few of us are hoping, maybe even assuming, that Sony is going to be doing some kind of big dedicated state of play to God of War Ragnarok, possibly as soon as this month. Considering the game is set to launch this year, this has been reaffirmed many times, it would make sense. But at this point in time, it's looking very likely that what Cory Barlog said in his little update to us was 100% the truth. I'm not saying that he was lying, but I maybe was thinking he was looking to misdirect us a little bit or mislead us a little bit and kind of like lower our expectations to then just come out with a surprise state of play for God of War Ragnarok that nobody saw coming. But again, this is a insider, and we all know that we have to take a pretty big grain of salt with any insider we cover, but maybe this is something we should listen to. Maybe it would be best in this case to just kind of temper our expectations and keep them low. I mean, that's pretty much, what Kratos suggests, lower your expectations so you'll never be disappointed. So at this point in time, I'm going to just take this as truth for now, just for the sake of keeping those expectations low, and I will assume that it's going to be quite some time before we hear more about God of War Ragnarok. I will admit that if this is true, it does make me wonder what exactly Sony is planning, not just with God of War Ragnarok, but in general. I did speculate on my most recent podcast that maybe at this point in time, it's likely Sony's going to do some type of showcase in June alongside pretty much every other major publisher. This is, E3 time, even though E3 doesn't really exist anymore, at least not in the way it used to. And I don't even think it's happening this year. But I thought, maybe this would be a good time for Sony to do an event. And if May is too soon, then maybe June isn't. Maybe that's exactly what Sony's planning. But still, keeping expectations low. I'm just going to kind of say, okay, well, you know what? Take your time, do what you got to do for the game. Make sure when it releases or when you're ready to show it and give it a release date, it's exactly how you want it to be and it's ready to go. I think that that's pretty much what every PlayStation fan would prefer. So I just wanted to keep you guys updated with that. The next rumor we're covering, again, is a follow-up to all of the acquisition rumors we were hearing. For those who don't remember, we were hearing for what felt like weeks that there was some type of big acquisition that was in the process of being made by Sony, and it got people pretty worked up because there were multiple people talking about it, and it just kind of took over. And flash forward, nothing happened as far as we are aware. Nothing was officially announced, and it just kind of looks like this was something that was made up, or it was just completely false information. But we now finally have a name to attach to these apparent rumored acquisitions that Sony was in talks to make. So this is reading from Push Square, where it says, remember back in March when PlayStation was rumored to have a huge week of news, and then nothing much happened aside from the official reveal of the new PS Plus tiers? Well, one of the most prominent rumors was that Sony was preparing an industry-shaking buyout. But once the dust had settled, we never actually found out who the rumored acquisition was about. It's a good job then. The talkative games journalist Jeff Grubb has answers. According to Grubb, the rumors referred to Sony snapping up Square Enix, which, as mentioned, would have been a real megaton. This fresh perspective arrives following the official news that Square Enix has sold off a number of its Western studios and properties to Embracer Group for $300 million. As Grubb points out, however, there was no way of knowing whether the rumor was legit. High-level business dealings like mergers and acquisitions almost never leak because of the potential repercussions, both personal and company-wide. Indeed, mega buyouts like Microsoft's acquisition of Bethesda and more recently Sony's buyout of Bungie happened out of nowhere. No leaks, no insiders, no nothing until they were suddenly confirmed by the companies themselves. Of course, with Square Enix selling off a bulk of its Western operations to Embracer Group, there have been mumblings that the Japanese publisher is streamlining itself for a potential acquisition. Such a thing would make some sense from a business point of view, but again, it's impossible to know for sure. So, this is just another one of those situations where it's like, we don't know what's going to happen with acquisitions, and it's hard not to talk about it because the reality is this seems to be the only thing that's really being discussed on a week-to-week basis. I, like most of you, would prefer just some actual game reveals or some news about games, but everything's kind of gone quiet, and it just seems like left, right, up, down, and center, people are being, not people, but companies are being bought, and IP is being bought, studios are being bought, and I don't necessarily blame anybody, nor do I blame myself for getting a little bit excited that week when we heard this rumor, or multiple rumors, because it really did begin to seem like something was about to happen more than just the announcement of PS Plus Premium. And the big question at the time was, which publisher is being talked about right now? And so apparently the name that was floating around was Square Enix. Now, we did talk yesterday about, the sudden, I guess it's not so sudden. It is sudden, but it's not necessarily surprising. We talked about Square Enix selling off their Western studios and IPs and whatnot, and it was a little bit surprising to see how little they sold for. Apparently, that's because these studios were just not making Square Enix enough money, like nowhere near enough money. They were actually losing them money. You could say that's due to poor management and whatnot. And so people are now wondering, like, is this why Square Enix is selling off their Western division? Is it to kind of like, streamline, I guess, as they put it here, so they can look better for a potential acquisition? I don't know. I don't think so. The reason why I say this is because this deal that Square Enix struck with Embracer Group is going to take a while to go through. I think they said it's going to happen, somewhere between what did they say, like July or September of this year. So it's going to be a little while. I highly doubt that they would be talking to Sony about being acquired in the middle of doing this. But nonetheless, this is what Jeff Grubb's coming out and saying. And, people are kind of pointing out, I guess it's easy for Jeff Grubb to kind of say this now, right? after we're seeing Square Enix do this. It does make you wonder why he wouldn't mention it before. But there you go. That is the latest update I have for you guys regarding this. So hopefully we can put this to bed now. You know, we had a couple weeks where there were all these rumors that Sony's going to buy somebody big and it's going to happen. And, you know, people are delaying their podcasts for it and whatnot. And just literally nothing happened. And now we know that apparently it was supposed to be Square Enix. And now if you look at where Square Enix actually is, it has nothing to do with Sony. It has everything to do with Embracer Group. So yeah, who knows what's going to happen next? Who knows? But that's going to do it for this video, guys. I just wanted to give you a quick update on some of the rumblings and rumors that are, you know, going around right now. Hopefully Sony will kind of become a little bit more active soon and have some more official news. But in the meantime, I will keep you guys updated with everything I can here. So be sure to leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. I'll be interested to see what you have to say. Again, leave the video a like if you enjoyed it or found it informative. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon and feel free to share the video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.